Hi dear friends and subscribers, welcome to the Cricket Happening Show. And in this part of the Cricket Happening Show, we are going to have a look at the first day's playing the second test match between South Africa and Australia, where South Africa, when actually bad light ended play with 7 overs to be still bowled for the day, South Africa, I would say, at least finished on much better position than Supersport Park Centurion, whereas I said the Port Elizabeth pitch was much slower than Supersport Park Centurion, and South Africa finished at 214 for 5 with Dean Elgar scoring 83 runs. I'll be talking about that, and then right now one sees that the Bangladesh-Sri Lanka one-day international series has been sealed by Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka have already won the one-day international 3-match one-day international series 2-0, because today they beat Bangladesh by a 61-run margin in the second one-day international here at Dhaka. So I'll talk about that, and also we will have a look at the T20 match which happened, where, as you know, T20 World Cup is around the corner in the month of March, and in fact West Indies, the T20 World Cup champions, were humbled by Ireland yesterday in the first T20 match which was played, and that would give them loads of confidence going into the T20 World Cup. In fact, humbled West Indies in their own land, so that was pretty important. And the second T20 is going to be played today, and I'm sure West Indies would like to square the series. Well, so first let me just head off to the match between South Africa and Australia, which is the one which the world is watching for sure. And the reason being that, well, one was watching that because Mitchell Johnson had really created havoc in the first test match and won the test for Australia. But today it was South Africa who were the ones who actually won the toss here at St. George's Park in Port Elizabeth in the second test, and immediately decided to bat first. Well, as far as South Africa were concerned, there were 3 changes in the team today. Alvaro Peterson's place was taken by Dean Elgar, took the place of Alvaro Peterson as an opener, and they also had Quinton de Kock actually making his test debut. He was making his test debut today, Quinton de Kock, and he was making his test debut in place of Vernon Philander. And the other change, well, Wayne Parnell was the one who actually came in place of Vernon Philander, and Quinton de Kock also coming into the side in place of the injured Ryan McLaren, who was injured in the first test by Johnson. So just as I said, South Africa were the ones who batted first, and well, Graham Smith and Dean Elgar walked in, and Australia actually regaining their winning combination as normally teams do. And it all started with today. Graham Smith, as you know, has been a bunny boy of Johnson, but today Johnson was not the man who took the wicket, as Graham Smith, the South African captain, was capped early by a full-length delivery coming in from Ryan Harris, who had Graham Smith LBW, and that was the first wicket for Australia. The breakthrough was provided today by Ryan Harris, and Graham Smith was walking back to the pavilion. LBW bowled Harris for 9 with 1-4, and South Africa were 10 for 1. After that, the very next over, there was more joy for Australia, as Mitchell Johnson, who got his first wicket, as he got a ball which actually straightened to Hashim Amla. In fact, he had bowled the first delivery, which had actually had just pitched in and actually come in. But this particular delivery that Mitchell Johnson bowled was a much straighter one, and Hashim Amla missed it, and he was trapped. LBW bowled Johnson for a blob. So that made things pretty worse for South Africa, with the score reading 11 for 2, and one probably thought, and also Dean Elgar was in the middle along with du Plessis. So it was Dean Elgar who was actually playing. As you know, Dean Elgar was taking his own sweet time. He was, as you know, when he made his debut in Australia at the WACA ground in Perth, and he was out for a pair on his test debut. But after that, I mean, it was very pretty hard for Dean Elgar to really survive over there, because he was taking a lot of blows on his body from Mitchell Johnson, and he was also leaving the ball well outside the off stump, and he was joined by Faf du Plessis. So after that, Dean Elgar actually took 20 balls to get off the mark. So there was some real psychological pressure on him, and especially considering that Dean Elgar and du Plessis were at the crease, Australia might have fancied their chances. But well, as far as Dean Elgar and du Plessis were concerned, du Plessis was playing in a very mature way. He understood the situation pretty well and really knuckled down along with Dean Elgar. And slowly but steadily, both Faf du Plessis and Dean Elgar started building together a partnership, and slowly they really repaired the situation for South Africa from 11 for 1 and took the score to 123, with Elgar playing some neat drives. In fact, even once he got off the mark, he was not afraid to actually come in, loft Nathan Lyon over the pickets for a 6. And du Plessis, well, he took his own time. He was really be very circumspect, and both of them slowly started building together this partnership, and the partnership really blossomed by putting on 112 runs for the third wicket. Before the first to go was du Plessis. After playing a fine hand, Nathan Lyon, who bowled pretty well today, and as I said, this was a slow surface, and as I very much said in my preview, that being a slow surface, the spinners would come in the equation, and we definitely saw some balls turn from Stephen Smith. We saw some balls turn. We also saw Nathan Lyon actually turning the ball, but pretty slowly, especially considering that's the first day pitch. So probably when he's expecting this pitch to really do something on the final day, and Australia will be caught on a last wicket. But well, that is something which we can talk about later. And once from 123 for 3, once again AB de Villiers came in, and AB de Villiers, as you know, he was the best person to deal with Johnson in the first test. He came in and joined Dean Elgar, and the partnership once again started pushing, and it was a partnership which yielded around 58 runs for the fourth wicket, before Dean Elgar, as I said, took a lot of blows on his body, but also drove very well, pulled very well, and finally Dean Elgar had a very good contribution. But the only thing was that the stroke that he played to get out was something which I'm sure he would be definitely pretty guilty about himself, because on a situation like this, when the score was 181, in fact there was no need for Dean Elgar to come down the wicket and loft line, that's what he did, and Ryan Harris took the catch, and Dean Elgar but played a fine hand for South Africa with a score of 83 with 9 fours and 2 sixes. After that, AB de Villiers was at the crease. He was really playing well. He was playing absolutely confidently, and he was joined in by Quinton de Kock, who actually made his test debut today. And Quinton de Kock, very surprisingly, was out to a full toss delivery from Stephen Smith, the red arm offie, and Quinton de Kock was caught by substitute Moises Henriques for 7 just before close of play, and that made the score 200 for 5 for South Africa. After that, JP Duminy came in and joined de Villiers, and JP Duminy was not out on 2 when, as I said, bad light stopped play, with South Africa's score reading 214 for 5. 83 overs were bowled for the day, 7 overs were left for the day, and the umpires with the light meters thought that the play no more play would be possible, and at stumps South Africa were at least comfortable, one could say, at 214 for 5 compared to the first test, with AB de Villiers going on to a proud record which no one has done in the annals of Test cricket. The other day we saw that he equalled Sir Isaac Vivian Alexander Richards' record, Virender Sehwag and Gautam Gambhir of India's record of 11 consecutive half centuries, and today AB de Villiers has made this record his own by notching up his 12th consecutive half century. He was unbeaten on 51 with 7 boundaries. Duminy was not out on 2, and South Africa finishing on 214 for 5 at close of play on the first day of the second test match between South Africa and Australia. Ryan Harris bowled well, 18 overs, 5 maidens, 1 for 36 for him, in fact provided the breakthrough. Mitchell Johnson got rid of Hashim Amla, 15 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 44. Peter Siddle, 22 overs, 7 maidens, none for 61, probably a bit unlucky. Nathan Lyon bowled pretty well. He was, according to me, he was the best bowler today of the lot. 23 overs, 6 maidens, 47 runs and 2 wickets, taking advantage of some slow turn in the pitch. David Warner 1 over for 2 runs, and Stephen Smith 4 overs, no maiden, 1 for 18, as he got a gifted wicket from the bat of Quinton de Kock, who was actually making his test debut. So that sums up the day's play as far as South Africa and Australia is concerned on the first day. And now we move on to the one-day series, where, as I said, Sri Lanka have sealed the one-day series 2-0. Today Sri Lanka were the ones who actually batted first in this 50-over one-day international, which was played at the Sher-e-Bangla National Stadium here. And for Sri Lanka, well, they didn't get a good start. I mean, I'll be a bit brief here. In fact, Sri Lanka scored 289 for 6 of their 50 overs, and they didn't have a good start at all. The openers were packed to the pavilion by Rubel Hussain when the first to go was I think it was Krishal Pereira, who was caught by Shamsur Rahman for 8 of 7 balls with 2 fours, and Dilshan was also sent packing out for 8, and Sri Lanka were 38 for 2 at that stage. And Dinesh Chandimal disappointed by giving his wicket away to Sohail Ghazi for 9, so that made it 63 for 3, and it definitely required somebody to stay at the crease and really get this Sri Lankan innings going, and that came in the form of Kumar Sangakkara's batting, who was joined in by Ashan Priyanjan. As you know, Ashan Priyanjan is a very talented player. When I've seen him play very well against Pakistan, and today he was there along with Sangakkara to really give some good support. In fact, Priyanjan was not a convincing innings initially. He was really struggling with his timing. He was not really able to time the ball well. Kumar Sangakkara, on the other hand, was his usual self, timing the ball very well, driving neatly and in a very attractive manner. And both of them slowly started stitching together a partnership, and the partnership started growing by leaps and bounds as the partnership went on to make 104 runs for the 4th wicket, with a contribution from Priyanjan, who in fact, as and when he played the strokes, he really played it well. He really used his feet well to the spinners, and he really played some marvelous strokes, and he also saw that he's a very talented player, but definitely he was very well guided by Kumar Sangakkara at the crease, and that's what really gave the Sri Lankan innings some impetus when the score went on to 177. Before Priyanjan was out, LBW bowled Shakib Al Hasan for 60 of 97 balls with 7 fours, and then Kumar Sangakkara followed him to the pavilion with this. But before that, there was another partnership where Angelo Matthews, the Sri Lankan captain, came in and slammed the bowling pretty hard to make an unbeaten 56 of 39 balls with 6 fours and 1 6, and Kumar Sangakkara going on to notch up his another century here, making 128 of 115 balls with 14 fours. Angelo Matthews, as I said, slamming the ball pretty hard to make a very good hard-hitting 56 unbeaten runs of 39 balls with 6 fours and 1 6. And Tisra Pereira, who was the hero in the first one-day international, was a goner. He was out for a duck, and Vidanage contributed 13 unbeaten runs of 9 balls with 2 fours, and Sri Lanka ended up with a very commanding total of 289 for 6 of their 50 overs. The bowling, well, the bowling definitely got a lot of tap, barring everybody went for runs. Mashrafe Murtaza 8 overs, 52 runs. Rubel Hussain leaked a lot of runs after picking up 2 early wickets. 10 overs no maiden, 3 for 76 for him. Sohail Ghazi, 10 overs cost him 50 runs and a wicket. Shakib Al Hasan, 10 overs 1 maiden, 1 for 46 was the best of the lot. Arafat Sunny, I thought still he bowled well, 8 overs 1 maiden, 1 for 44, the left arm spinner. Mahmudullah 3 overs for 11 runs, and Mominul Haq bowled 1 over for 7 runs. And also one thing that I would like to say here, as far as the Sri Lankan innings were concerned, Sri Lankan innings really prospered due to some poor fielding by the Bangladeshi fielders. Mominul Haq actually dropping 2 catches, 1 at cover and 1 at deep mid wicket. Mahmudullah dropping a catch, absolutely a dolly, and I think in all there were 4 catches dropped, and that's what enabled this stand of Sangakkara and Ashan Priyanjan to really prosper and take Sri Lanka to a very commanding total of 289 for 6 of 50 overs. So Bangladesh were absolutely guilty of dropping a lot of catches as far as this particular match was concerned. Now, as far as the batting was concerned, for Bangladesh, they could muster only 228 after playing 43 overs, so that was a win by 61 runs, and also the one-day series was won by Sri Lanka. So there's only one more match left, but it's of absolutely no consequence, and Sri Lanka have already won the series. As far as Bangladesh batting was concerned, well, they lost Shamsur Rahman pretty early, trying to play at a wide delivery from Malinga. Was caught by Sen and Aike, was gone for a duck, and after that there was a brief little partnership with Anamul Haq really providing some very good stroke play. Especially what was good to see was that the way he actually handled Lasith Malinga, he really dealt with him in a very severe manner, and that's what enabled Anamul Haq to contribute a very well-made 42 of 46 balls with 7 fours. But before that, Mominul Haq, his partner, was dismissed for 15. Anamul Haq made 42 of 46 balls with 7 fours. And after that, there was only, Mushfiqur Rahim was the one who was actually there for the team, and he played some very good strokes, and he was really holding. In fact, there was a phase of play when Sri Lanka, Bangladesh were 63 for 3 at that stage, and then suddenly there was a real acceleration with two experienced players in the middle in the form of Mushfiqur Rahim, the Bangladeshi captain, and Shakib Al Hasan, and both of them decided to take the attack to the rival camp by hitting some boundaries and sixes. But when Shakib Al Hasan fell, now that was very important for Shakib Al Hasan to stay, and Shakib Al Hasan unfortunately was a goner as he was dismissed by Priyanjan, the right arm off spinner. Shakib Al Hasan was caught in the deep. He was gone for 24, 23. But what one thought was that Mushfiqur Rahim and Shakib Al Hasan were doing all the scoring. That was all right, but no, what was pretty bad was that they kept doing it in a with lots of regularity, and that really enabled the Sri Lankan bowlers to really take up the challenge and challenge them to hit them over the top, and that's the reason Shakib Al Hasan actually perished for 24. It was a big blow for them. After that, Nasir Hussain, who has been failing in this series, is a very talented player, but unfortunately is hitting some loose strokes, and once again we saw that he succumbed for just 22 of Mendes of 24 balls with 1-4 and 1-6, and after that it became a task too onerous for Mushfiqur Rahim, the Bangladeshi captain, as he ran out of partners, with Mahmudullah being run out for 1 in a very crazy manner, where Mushfiqur Rahim actually called him for a single and then decided to trot back to the crease. Sohag Ghazi was dismissed for 7 by Pereira. Mashrafe Murtaza contributed 17 of 23 balls with 2 fours and 1-6. Arafat Sani was in the end, but in the end, Mushfiqur Rahim, as I said, running out of partners, had to hit himself to get Bangladesh to that total. But in doing so, he was a victim of Malinga for 79 of 83 balls with 5 fours and 2 sixes. Rubilesan was out for 6, and Bangladesh innings ending at 228 with 61-run victory, and Sri Lanka taking the one-day series 2-0. Well, Malinga 8 overs 2 maidens 2 for 45 bowled well. Angelo Matthews 8 overs 1 maiden none for 44. Senanaike 8 overs 2 for 33 bowled excellently. 6 overs for 40 runs for Pereira with 2 wickets, and Ajanta Mendes bowled 8 overs 2 maidens, no maidens 2 for 43, 1 for 17, and Kumar Sangakkara for his century was named man of the match. Now the next thing that I'm going to talk about is yesterday's match. As I said, the reigning champions, T20 World Cup champions, West Indies, were humbled by Ireland by 6 wickets at the Sabina Park, Kingston in Jamaica yesterday, when West Indies were the ones who actually batted first, and they were reduced to 116 for 8 of 20 overs by the Ireland bowlers. The Ireland bowlers especially, it was the bowling of Muttag, who bowled 4 overs no maiden 2 for 28, Cusack 4 overs no maiden 2 for 17, George Dockrell, the left-arm spinner, bowling excellently, 4 overs no maiden 1 for 15, 2 overs for 17 runs and 2 wickets for Kevin O'Brien, 4 overs 1 for 23 for Max Sorensen, and Peter Sterling bowled 2 overs for 14. But the bowlers did a wonderful job for Ireland to reduce the West Indies innings to 116 for 8, even though it contained a lot of big names. Dwayne Smith was out for 14 of 13 balls with 2 sixes. Gale, making his way back into the West Indies team after the injury problems, was out for 18 of 19 balls with 3 fours. Marlon Samuels was out for 16 of 17 balls with 1 4 and 1 6. Lendy Simmons was out for 16 of 23 balls with 2 fours. Dwayne Bravo contributing 8 runs of 14 balls with 1 4. And Russell was out for 15 of as many balls with 1 4 and 1 6. Sammy was out for 7. Ramadan was out for 4. And I thought Ireland bowlers did a great job in reducing this West Indies innings to 116 for 8 of their 20 overs. And then Ireland, well, they definitely lost their openers Porterfield and Sterling for 4 and 0 respectively pretty quickly, but then Ed Joyce stayed there to contribute an unbeaten 40, and in fact occupying the entire almost the 20 overs to take Ireland over the line with a very good knock or useful knock of an unbeaten 40 or 49 balls with 2 fours. He got company from Wilson, who made 18 of 18 balls. Pointer was making 32 runs with a strokeful 32 of just 30 balls with 6 fours. Kevin O'Brien was not out on 15 of 12 balls with 2 fours, and Ireland ending the match and winning this match by 6 wickets against the World Cup T20 champions West Indies by 6 wickets. And what was more important was that West Indies were humbled in their own land. Looking at the bowling, Samuel, and this will go, as I said, this will go a long way for them in building their confidence ahead of the T20 World Cup coming up in Bangladesh in the month of March. Badri 4 overs, no maiden, 2 for 18. Rampal 1 for 27. Nareen 4 overs, 1 for 16. Sammy 3 overs, no maiden, none for 16. Samuels 1 over for 7 runs. 3 overs for 21 for Bravo, and 1 over for 7 runs. And the player of the match went to Ed Joyce. Now West Indies are under immense pressure because there's the second one-day international, which is second T20 match going to be played today, and it's pretty essential that West Indies have to win this particular match. Otherwise they can't save face, because as I said, West Indies are the T20 World Cup champions who will be playing Ireland in the second one-day international. Well, that really wraps up my Cricket Happening show for today. Hope you all enjoyed it. Dear fans, friends and subscribers, this is your host Ram signing off for today. Thank you.